Well, Bob, you've seen the news out of Pennsylvania. I don't need to brief you on it. What's your initial reaction to what you've seen and heard?
Well, initial reaction, I suspect Chris was like most Americans, which was complete shock. You just never expect that to happen. And so thankful, obviously, that the former president is okay, apparently, but obviously, deeply upsetting that apparently a rally attendee was killed. And so, you know, it's uh it's a shocking situation all around. There's no two ways around it.
You have attended your fair share of political rallies over time.
Yeah.
There's some questions. There's a lot we don't know right now about what exactly transpired here. But in terms of your personal safety and security now, with rallies going forward and political events going forward, anything that you may do differently?
Oh boy, that's a tough question, Chris. You know, uh, I don't choose to talk much about sort of threats that I receive or my family receives. That's just sort of a personal choice. Um, and but my kids are very aware, of the situation, and uh, and that's a very unfortunate side of politics. I mean, it's not new to 2024. I mean, go back to 1968, right? Martin Luther King and Bobby Kennedy assassinated within, I think, weeks of each other, if I recall correctly. But, today is a reminder of, you know, um, the worst impulses in America, that those are there. And this is a time to try and calm everybody down so this doesn't escalate like things did in 1968 as one historical example.
I think a lot of people are already talking about political rhetoric and
Mhm.
and there have been concerns about political violence. It's difficult to talk about in a situation like this that's still developing. But uh, Republican Party chair in Washington State said, "Hey, he was worried about this because of all the things that have been said about President Trump. There have been things said about President Biden as well. I know that on the campaign trail, you've talked about protecting Washington State from a potential Trump presidency. Do you think now about words and political rhetoric as we move forward?"
Well, I don't just think about them now after sort of a cowardly attack. You know, During my time as Attorney General and Donald Trump was president, we settled our disagreements in a courtroom, which I think is the right way to do it. It was legal briefs. I think anyone watching my press conferences during those 4 years would have seen it pretty calm. Look, had my personal views about what was going on, but we settled those differences in court, which I think is the way it should be, you know, through the ballot box, through the court system, through debates, right? And, you know, um, I know that things do get heated, but I think it is a reminder that, hey, we can't be joking about things. Our words do matter. And I think one can have strong debate and disagreement, as we should as a society. That's important to express those differences. But there are lines, obviously. And and that we certainly have to be mindful of every day, not just today.
Does this shape the state race in any way? Less than a month now before the primary.
I haven't had a chance to think that through, honestly, Chris. I mean, um, I just don't know the answer to that. I think the focus now is on what happened. And, you know, for the innocent victim here, to have thoughts for that individual and their family who must be suffering tremendously today. And thankful that President Trump, by my understanding, seems to be physically healthy. But I'm sure that, for him, this must be a fairly traumatic experience. I can only imagine for him and his family. I mean, he has a wife, he has children, he has a family. I mean, I guess I'm focused just on the human aspect of that, what that means for those who love him and his family members and what that must be like to have your father have this happen to you, so it's more focused on that than a broader political context for sure.
I appreciate you doing this, and I appreciate you sticking around while we dealt with the breaking news.
Happy to do it. Yeah, happy to do it. Thanks so much, Chris. You have a great night.
Thanks, Bob.
Okay, bye-bye.